What if two of the cheapest nuts at your local grocery store could do more for your brain, your eyes, and your gut than most expensive supplements on the shelf? Sounds like a stretch, right? But researchers are paying serious attention to pistachios and walnuts right now, and what they're finding is turning heads. The problem is, most people over 60 either skip these nuts entirely or eat them in ways that cancel out the benefits. Let's talk about why that needs to change. For decades, seniors were told to stay away from nuts. Too much fat, too many calories, bad for your heart. And honestly, that advice made sense at the time. Doctors were focused on cutting fat wherever they could. But here's what we've learned since then. Not all fat works the same way in your body. The fats in pistachios and walnuts are unsaturated, the kind that may actually support your heart instead of hurting it. So that old fear of nuts? It might have kept an entire generation away from one of the most nutrient-packed snacks available. Now let's start with the one most people overlook, pistachios. These little green nuts are quietly impressive. They're one of the few nuts that contain lutein and zeaxanthin, two compounds that support eye health. For anyone over 60, that matters. They're also surprisingly high in protein, more than most other nuts, and they may help keep blood sugar steady after meals. There's even a decent amount of vitamin B6 in a small handful, which plays a role in brain function and mood. And here's the part people don't expect. Pistachios are one of the lowest calorie nuts you can buy. So the excuse that nuts are fattening, it doesn't really hold up here. But walnuts might be even more interesting. They're the only common nut that's high in omega-3 fatty acids, the same type of fat found in fish. And some studies suggest that eating walnuts regularly may support cognitive function as you age. One long-term study followed older adults for years and found that those who included walnuts in their diet showed slower rates of cognitive decline compared to those who didn't. On top of that, walnuts have strong anti-inflammatory properties, which matters because chronic low-grade inflammation is connected to almost every age-related condition you can think of. Here's where it gets really fascinating. Both pistachios and walnuts may support something called your gut microbiome, the trillions of bacteria living in your digestive system. After 60, that microbiome starts to lose diversity, and that's been linked to weaker immunity, poor digestion, and even mood changes. Early research suggests that the fiber and polyphenols in these nuts can help feed the beneficial bacteria your gut needs. So you're not just feeding yourself, you're feeding the ecosystem inside you. Now, here's where most people go wrong. They grab the salted roasted kind off the shelf and snack on handfuls without thinking. That extra sodium adds up fast, especially if blood pressure is already a concern. Roasting at high temperatures can also reduce some of the delicate nutrients. Raw or dry roasted with no added salt, that's the way to go. And portion size matters. About a small palmful of each per day is plenty. More than that and the calories start stacking up without much extra benefit. One more thing people miss, storage. Walnuts especially go rancid quickly if left in a warm pantry. Keep them in the fridge or freezer and they'll last months longer. So what does a realistic daily habit look like? Simple. A small palmful of walnuts with your morning oatmeal or yogurt. A few pistachios as an afternoon snack. That's it. No complicated meal plans, no expensive powders. Just two ordinary nuts eaten consistently. Here's what's worth thinking about. The biggest health changes don't usually come from dramatic overhauls. They come from small, boring decisions you repeat every single day. A few nuts in the morning, a short walk after lunch, a glass of water before bed. None of it sounds exciting, but over months and years, those tiny choices compound into something that matters. And sometimes, the simplest habit is the one your body's been waiting for.